welcome to the Village Bistro. So, we didn't want it to look like a Bombay or a Delhi restaurant in Goa. We felt that we're in Goa, it needs to have elements of Goa. So, we've used elements like laterite, we've used elements like the IPS flooring, we've used Goan colors as much as we could. There is some significance of the tables and the chairs, being very Goan. So, the design element in my head was very clear. It can't resemble a city restaurant. It has to look like what a Goan restaurant needs to look like. This is the Village Bistro bar. I see a lot of people talking. Again, no DJ being played. The music selection is going to be very soul and funk, very jazzy, a lot of 80s. That's going to happen. I was born in the 70s, so a lot of 70s and the 80s that's going to happen. And I see people post 11 o'clock at this space having conversations, talking to each other and just enjoying some bit of drinks. And it converts into a little bit of a high energy space, more like what is in Spain where you have tapas bars. I mean, where people just kind of gather together and talk about food and wine and not necessarily, dance and, move their feet around. The idea behind the live grill is that we just want to do meats and seafood cooked onto the grill, simply. And we're just going to have some flavored butters along with it. That's something that, we will eventually start closer to when season begins. This is the Village Bistro top floor. I think the top floor, essentially for me, when I was doing the space, had to be two separate parts. One is the part where you actually dine, which you can now see, which is around here. And this view is quite stunning because you get the feels. I mean, you get to see a bit of the traffic, but you can't really hear the traffic. So it's kind of nice, right? And the other part of it, which is the wine bar, which I'm super excited about. And this is the dedicated white table with the wine bar, that eventually over time I will curate in terms of the wine labels and the space and the wine offering. But that's again, as I said, closer to when season begins. Right now, we're just kind of keeping it extremely low. So that's the space for you upstairs, right? I mean, pretty much so you got the dining happening on one side and you got the wine table happening on one side. The idea behind the wine table is community building. We're starting something called Wine Wednesdays, where people can come and sit around the white table, stand around the white table. They'll be able to be tasting wines at a price that will not be there on any other day. And it's about tasting wine, pate, cheese, talking to one another, having discussions about wine, not necessarily or just your everyday life. So it's a community table that we've built, and we want to encourage a lot of wine on this table. That's the idea behind the white table. We're not a cocktail bar. I think I want to be the neighborhood friendly bar. We're trying to do seasonal cocktails, like Urak was in season, so we did a nice Urak and Campari. There was Feni in season, so we did a Feni with a nice apple infused tea. And we will keep evolving our signature cocktails or rather our seasonal cocktails to only be two on the menu, while we will stick to doing the classics well. That's what I firmly believe as the bar. I think as time goes by, I want to have a Made in Goa page, okay, which basically talks about every possible liquor that is made in Goa, right? As I said, the alcohol program is to keep it simple, and that was an idea by my marketing person called Deepti Darlani, where she said to me that, listen, chef, at some point of time, we need to only have a page dedicated to liquor that's made in Goa. So that whether it's the Woodburn, whether it is Pomori, whether it is tomorrow a Pistola that's being made here, we want to have a dedicated page only for Goa and saying, we're very proud of what Goa produces and this is what it is. Whether it's Paul John whiskey, whether it is Amrut whiskey, and that's something that we will grow over time, right? So that's right now. We're trying to support as many locals as we can. The Feni and the Urak are coming in from people in Arpora who we know personally, who have gone and tasted the Feni and the Urak personally. We're not buying proprietary stuff right now. That being said, I am going to do some work with Hansel going forward because Hansel is a dear friend. He wants to collaborate, Kazulo wants to collaborate with the Village Bistro. So we're going to do those collaborations nicely. I wanted to bring back European classics that I felt were not being done anymore with a modern interpretation of what I felt the European classic needs to be. And that was basically what helped me conceptualize the entire menu. So keeping that one singular thought in mind, European classics, with some sort of a Goan element or a modern interpretation that makes that classic stand out from any other classic, or what other places are doing as a classic. So that's what kind of helped me ideate through the entire brainstorming process on paper of the menu. So I think I'd like to just simply say modern interpretations of European classics. That for me is what the Village Bistro food is all about. And we're trying to just keep it as that. So someone who reads to the menu will read a chicken a la Kiev, will read a prawn cocktail, will read a classic salsa verde, will read a lot of elements like the Moorish style Spanish meatballs. You'll understand patatas bravas, but it's not your regular patatas bravas or a Moorish meatball. There is a modern interpretation to it. Like a chicken a la Kiev is stuffed with truffle butter. That's a modern interpretation of what like a chicken a la Kiev is, because traditionally you would never have it stuffed with truffle butter. You just have it stuffed with butter. So there are small elements like that which we have tried to elevate every possible classic and give it a modern interpretation. Is the beef meatball, Spanish style meatballs, basically Moorish style. So you got a bit of cumin, coriander into the meatball. As I said, you cut into it and they're extremely soft. That's what they're meant to be. Good tomato sauce, which is the Spanish style of cooking a tomato sauce. We've got patatas bravas right here at the side, which is a classic accompaniment. I think it's extremely hard curating vegetarian food for a Goan chef. So eggplant has been marinated with charmula. There's a lot of elements going inside. We've got quinoa at the bottom. We've got eggplant. We've got charmula sauce. We've got mascarpone right here. We've got almond flakes right here. We've got feta cheese right here. We've got pomegranate right here. And then we've got a sesame and a ginger dressing, which you can see right here. Right? So may look like a simple dish, but there are actually 6 elements to this dish. So my personal obsession with reinventing the way Goa eats mackerel is basically something that I've taken on at a personal level. So what we taste here is basically pan-fried mackerel. Okay, mackerel is fresh. It's basically taken off the bone, and we pan-fry it. We're serving it with a sauce that's made from fish cheeks, fish roe, and guanciale. So guanciale is again a bacon that comes from basically pig's cheeks. And I felt that since a lot of richness was happening to all of this, I needed to cut that off with a simple Waldorf salad. So the Waldorf again is very simple. It's got mayonnaise which is made with egg. It's got apples, it's got grapes. It's got a bit of walnut powder. And since mackerel and trifle is like a marriage, so I thought I'll just do a little bit of a trifle dust. So we're actually roasting off the trifle and then puree and basically making a dust out of it. So that's what you're able to kind of hopefully taste through the mackerel dish. Yeah, so the local elements have come in from a design perspective. That being said, everything I'm sourcing right now is from Goa, and I'm very proud to say that. Whether it's the beef, whether it's the pork, whether it's the fish, whether it is the chicken, they're all coming in from local vendors. We've done a few tie-ups with people who are from in and around. Like for instance, I'll give you a simple example of a dish called the mushroom on toast. Or it's actually on the menu, it's called the two-way mushroom on toast. Now, ideally, people will be looking for French baguette. Ideally, people will be looking at ciabatta. I was very simple that I knew I had to use the Goan katra bread. It has all the textures of a ciabatta and a French baguette. It brings out every possible thing that you want out of a French baguette. The poder is right here. We actually go at 6 o'clock in the evening, we buy our fresh katra and it's on the menu. And that for me is something that I've kind of used all through the menu. Yes, there are a few things that we have to get from Pune, from a farms called offerings. It's because we just don't get great quality baby carrot, baby beetroot, which is essential to European cooking also. We're trying to get in great quality lettuce, which unfortunately does not happen in Goa. So yes, Uh, but that being said, we're trying to keep things as much as possible within Goa. But Goa also has some shortcomings in terms of what people can produce. So we're trying to use local rice, where I'm using the Gracian sheet to make my arroz di marisco. Most people would have said that, I need maybe a Spanish pomba or whatever. I'm trying to use elements as much as I can, as long as they fit within the framework of what the original dish is. I think that's what we're trying to do as a philosophy. So Goa has a lot of challenges. I mean, people, unfortunately, vendors and things like that just don't understand what it is to kind of handle produce with care. So you have to constantly kind of educate them. Logistics is a big problem, right? I mean, we have the privileges in Bombay of suppliers coming and delivering to you. Here you have to go to the supplier. Also, I think they unless it's a farm, a lot of people just don't understand the basic of what I feel is logistics and how to transport and how to package. Village Bistro is just the tipping point right now for me. I think the fact that I moved to Goa 4 years ago, there's a lot more to do. I will at some point of time start doing my modern Portuguese series at the Village Bistro, and there are plans to open Porto and Poi Part 2 at some point of time in Goa again, for sure. So, as a Goan, I'd say the future is quite worrying, if you ask me. Okay, while there is so much happening, I also fear, because at the end of the day, we're a very small state. We're dependent on tourists. We're dependent on tourism. Goa, if I'm not mistaken, has a population of between 1.5 and 2 million of actually the people that live here. Most of them don't eat out. I know this for a fact. So we're very relying on people who come from outside, and now so are the so-called settlers to come here and kind of go out to restaurants and eat. So personally, I don't see enough of a market share for everybody. That's my worry. That's my fear. That being said, I also like the value that some brands are bringing to what Goa is, because it's helping them change the demography and helping Goa get onto the culinary map of India, which is good. I mean, I think at the end of the day, if Goa can become the culinary capital of the country, there's nothing like it. Because people do feel free to open up and taste a lot more in Goa than they would do in metros. And having cooked in Bangalore, having cooked in Hyderabad, Bombay, Pune, not so much in the north, but I've seen people's palates open up when they come to Goa. They're more experimental. And I think that's what gives chefs and a lot of young entrepreneurs the opportunity to experiment. Because I feel Bombay and other cities have gotten stagnant in terms of what they're offering in terms of F&B. So Goa is one space today where you can say, listen, okay, I'd like to experiment. And but in order for a cook or for a chef to experiment, you need people's palates to open up to experiment. You may like it or you may not like it, that's a different question. But the fact that you're willing to try something which you've not heard of, or something that you're not aware of, that's hope for us chefs. And that's hope for a lot of restaurateurs.